On July 19th of last month, a man went to the home of a United States federal district court judge. I believe he knocked on the door. The judge's son answered the door along with the judge's husband, and this man proceeded to shoot the son and shoot the husband. Tragically, the judge's son died. I want to talk about this incident and give you some opinions and thoughts on it. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Joe Pometto, a practicing Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania attorney. This is my show, Joe the Lawyer. If you like it, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. Show me some support. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers. So many of you may have heard of this story in the news or perhaps on the internet. The federal district court judge is named Esther Salas, and I believe she was in New York or the New Jersey area. And what happened was this attorney who had a case, who had had prior cases before this judge, his name was Roy Den Hollander. For whatever reason, some say he was a men's rights activist, a sort of extremist type dude, did a sort of some weird stuff in his law practice from what I read. You know, he had a beef with this judge and he got a gun, went to the judge's house, and probably intending to kill the judge, shot and killed her son. I mean, it does not get more tragic and devastating than this. Later on, the authorities, this guy, I believe a couple days later or within a few days of the shooting, went and killed himself. But further investigation showed that he also killed an attorney out in California. Now, this guy, Hollander, is an attorney in New York. He went out to California and shot this other attorney in the same style that he had killed the judge's son. He went to this lawyer's house and boom, shot him dead, all right? And the attorney that he killed apparently was a men's rights activist as well. And he saw him as a rival. And I've been reading up on this story. This Hollander dude had a list of people that he wanted to kill. Truly insane, sick, and tragic. My thoughts and prayers and good vibes go out to the judge, Esther Salas, her family, her husband, who I believe is still recovering, and anybody who lost anyone to this tragic shooting. So this raises the question is, you know, there's a lot of people go into a certain career field when you grow up, right? If you become a police officer, you know that you are going to be encountering people who want to do you harm or who may do you harm while trying to escape from you doing your job, right? That job comes with harm. If you join the military, you are accepting the responsibility of being put in harm's way. If you're a firefighter, you're accepting the responsibility of being put in harm's way. But most people don't think, and with good reason, that being an attorney or being a judge is the type of job where you're going to be a target for somebody. But let me tell you, it can be. It can be. Now, what happened with Judge Salas, I don't think is traditionally the way that judges and lawyers may be targeted by, like this Hollander dude did. Traditionally, some of what will happen is a prosecuting attorney or a judge will put away a big-time drug dealer, a big-time mafia boss, a cartel leader, okay? And these sophisticated criminals with large criminal networks have been known to go after prosecutors, go after judges who have done them wrong, either threatening them or actually following through. Now, if you're into old mafia stuff like I am, okay, I'm Italian, look at my last name, Pometto, all right? I like to read about the mafia. I watch all the movies, all right? In the 70s, in the 80s, but even before that, you could see the mob would put out hits on attorneys, and sometimes attorneys would get whacked or prosecutors would get shot. I mean, it's very tragic, very sad. If you read about the history of the mafia in Italy itself, Okay, the mafia in Italy would go after judges and lawyers all the time. I mean, there was a war fought on the street between the Italian government and the mafia in the 1980s. Wild stuff. Prosecutors, politicians, judges shot, killed, executed, everything. Okay, a lot of that stuff has calmed down, but it has traditionally been a job where you, especially if you're in the criminal law. Whether you're a prosecutor or a defense attorney, you're dealing with some rough people, okay, who, if things don't go their way, they may use violence to get retribution. Very crazy. Very dangerous. Now, again, I think it's calmed down a lot in recent years. Even in my short time practicing, been an attorney about 7 years, I have seen people in the courthouse, defendants who are facing criminal charges, threaten prosecutors or threaten judges, and it's even happened to defense attorneys. I'll give you a story. You can Google this. I don't want to name drop here, but there was a police shooting of a young black man in Pittsburgh a couple of years ago, Antoine Rose. You can look it up. It's a high-profile case. And after this police officer shot this kid, essentially Antoine Rose, and he was killed, the Allegheny County District Attorney's Office put the police officer on trial for homicide. Well, this police officer went out and hired a defense attorney. That defense attorney, very well respected in the Pittsburgh area, took on this job. And here's the thing: as a defense attorney, I'm a criminal defense attorney. We may represent people who are selling drugs or drug users, or they're in gangs. But you may be on the other side of that coin, right? When a police officer faces criminal charges, who are they going to go to? They're going to go to those criminal defense attorneys who represented the gang members, who represented the drug dealers, because those guys are the best. Okay, that's the funny thing about criminal defense is we, as a criminal defense attorney, might represent somebody who's done some horrible crime, a sexual assault or something. Might represent somebody who is, possession of drugs. Might represent DUIs. Might represent judges and politicians who get DUIs. Right? Might represent a police officer who's charged with a crime. So criminal defense comes in all shapes and sizes, and it's interesting. So this well-respected attorney represented this police officer who had shot Antoine Rose here in the Pittsburgh area. And one night there was a drive-by shooting of his law office. Boom, boom, boom. Multiple bullets were shot into the window of his law office, perhaps as a warning. But even as a warning, it comes that's very, very dangerous. So there are some risks in getting into the law. It's a big responsibility. You're going to deal with some really heavy stuff. Now, this isn't true for all practices of law. All right. If you're a tax attorney or an estates attorney, you're not going to get mixed up in this. Okay. For the most part, you're not a representative of the government who is trying to put someone behind bars for the rest of their life. Okay. Or you're not an attorney who is defending someone from the government while they're trying to be put behind bars. And if you don't do a good job, they may be upset with you. Now, judges perhaps are at the greatest risk because they may be up there putting hundreds, thousands of people behind bars. I mean, a lot of these people, they don't like the judge after this happens, right? I mean, this judge put me in jail. And if they have powerful or violent friends out there, it can be dangerous. It can be dangerous. Now, what happened with this Salas, this federal district court judge, though, is very different. This was an attorney who just lost his mind. Very sad, very tragic. That guy is really just a terrible person at the end of the day. This made me think of, who here has seen Carlito's Way? This is a different topic, which I'll cover one day, but it's criminal defense attorneys who turn into criminals, right? In Carlito's Way, Sean Penn plays an attorney who represents the mob, but he becomes a part of the mob himself. And then he ends up basically being a gangster, and, he kind of gets his comeuppance, gets what's coming to him at the end. Watch Carlito's Way. It's not the best, but it's a good movie. I told you, I watch all the mob movies. And that, let me leave you with a personal story here. When I was working at the public defender's office as an attorney, I remember one time I went into the jail to see a client with a practicing attorney and actually another intern, and we're in the jail. And at the Allegheny County Jail, there's a common area where attorneys can meet. There's oftentimes multiple people in the room, meeting with their lawyers, and you'll sit at one table with your client. Well, we're in there one day, and a guy comes in to talk to this attorney who had just done a trial, and the individual was convicted. Okay, and apparently he had been made an offer prior, but he didn't take it, and he went to trial and he thought he was going to win, and he lost. And this guy was a large man. I mean, we're talking over 6 feet tall. Okay, comes into the room and starts screaming. I'm telling you, screaming at the top of his lungs, practically getting in the face of this attorney who'd done the trial. Now, this attorney, I give tons of credit, because sat there stone faced, looking straight ahead, cool as cool as an iceberg, cool as Iceland, and just took the berating, right? And here's the thing, I can almost understand this guy, he just lost 7 years of his life. Like, you're not going to be happy. Screaming at this lawyer at the top of his lungs for like 5 to 10 minutes. And me, I wasn't even an attorney yet. I was just sat there in shock, and I didn't know what to do. And I thought, are we going to get the guards? And I can't remember if a guard came over. They're not far. Anyways, that just highlighted to me the fact that, if a person, sometimes they blame the defense attorney. So the defense attorney can be the target of the client's rage, even though the defense attorney is trying to help that person. But if they end up in jail, they're going to look at the guy next to them or the girl next to them and say, it's your fault. It's your fault. It's everybody's fault in the room. So I just wanted to comment on what happened to Judge Salas's family. I think it's very tragic. I don't think are we at the point in society where judges have to have armed guards? I'll tell you one thing, they should have privacy, and we may want to think about them getting some sort of Secret Service or other federal marshals protection. It's sad, but it may be necessary, because you deal with some crazy stuff. This was a lawyer. This wasn't somebody in the criminal system. This was a nut job lawyer. So I think this is kind of an outlier type thing. I hope it is. Again, it's very tragic and sad. But I wanted to comment again, this position, being an attorney, as a prosecutor or a criminal defense attorney or a judge, it comes with some risks. It's a low level of risk, but there is some risk to it. So just, something to think about, something to ponder. Maybe if you know somebody who does this work, understand it can be very stressful, and it can even sometimes be dangerous. So thank you for tuning in to Joe the Lawyer. Maybe my next episode will be criminal defense attorneys who turn into criminals. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share.